Hello and welcome back for another episode of Patriotic Housewife. Well, we have really good news. Lance Twiggs' family is speaking out for the first time today. They spoke with Brian Entin. I'm going to show you guys this small clip of what was said and then we'll discuss it. I'm really shocked that they're starting to speak out. Kind of convenient timing, but let's just jump right into this.
I mean, both of them are super smart. I mean, Lance was, I do know that. And I remember, he was I don't know, concert pianist. Like his talent for piano music was off the charts, like not normal. It was very impressive. And that's kind of what I've heard about Tyler, is that he was just so smart and it's just a shame that these kids that had so much potential and such a bright future.
What do you think changed?
I don't, and then being as antisocial as they were, from my understanding of, playing these games and being a part of this Discord group, it just, they didn't seem like they were in a real world.
There's text messages between Tyler and Lance where they're texting after the event. A lot of people find them unusual.
The world that they were in, like this gaming world, like that was a normal way that they kind of spoke, that this wasn't the way they spoke wasn't abnormal.
There have been a lot of questions about where Lance is now, whether he's in the FBI protection program. It's been a big mystery. He kind of has disappeared.
Yeah, my understanding was for the first few weeks, because there were so many threats against his family that and him, that they had. My understanding is they did have a little bit of FBI detail, and they kind of moved around a little bit, but they're not anymore. He's with his family.
Will he still cooperate with the investigation, from what you know?
I don't know. When I first found out about how he was taken in and talked to by the police, I know that they said that he was very cooperative, but they had to go get him and bring him in. He didn't voluntarily go in and say, "Hey, I heard about this and I have some knowledge." He had to go in. Then he handed things over when they asked for him, but he didn't give up any information until he had to.
There are so many theories out there, and I'm sure you've seen them. People think other people are involved, or another government was involved. I mean, you're kind of in the middle of this. How confident are you that police have the right guy, Tyler Robinson?
100%. They have the right guy.
So I have questions about the timing. Obviously, I think that this is kind of coincidental timing. We have the information coming out from Mitch in the fort, and it's clearly causing this chaos and this panicked frenzy that we're seeing from tpusa workers, from the CEO of tpusa. It seems like it's really struck a nerve, and to me, when it strikes a nerve like that, you have to believe that there's some truth there. That's just my opinion. So I think it's interesting now that this has come out. We can't combat with alibis. We can't combat with trying to lie. And now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we have Lance's family speaking out. A little bit weird, but it's interesting, right? Why didn't we do this weeks ago? Why weren't people talking weeks ago to make us feel like this is a real person? I wonder if it's because they know no one's buying the narrative for sure now. A good majority of, I think, all Americans aren't buying that. So timing is interesting to me. It also appears that, by what she said, that the family did not know Tyler Robinson. So either, they had never brought him around the family, or maybe Lance Twiggs. I mean, I know that we've heard that Tyler hadn't come out to his family yet, that kind of thing. So that's interesting to know that, like, they didn't know Tyler. They just know it off of hearsay. So I'm curious to see, like, how long they were dating for. What's the background there to where you're willing to kill for this person? So that kind of is weird to me. I also think it's interesting that she brings up, the gaming antisocial behavior. and that like, oh, well, you know, the texting is normal, the verbiage is normal. I don't think that has anything to do with gaming in Discord or the gaming community. Um, I have a brother that gamed professionally, and how he got into that was because at school people were bullying him, and he did fall into video gaming and making online friends, and you know, it led him into being on games a lot, and then he, you know, was amazing obviously and traveled the world and did all these things, and that's awesome. But also, I don't think that means that, you know, that has anything to do with the two. There are some people, yes, I think, who go through, you know, bullying or certain things. And so online is kind of like a safe way to make friends. It's like a safer place than, you know, for instance, like the South Side of Chicago in a public school, for, you know, for certain people. And so that, I think, her trying to say like, oh, well, they were in Discord and, you know, the gaming community, and that's just like, you know, kind of like the vibe, or leading it in that direction was weird to me, because there's plenty of people who are gaming in Discord that don't talk like that, don't create that kind of community. I think majority of people don't. So I think it's interesting that we're trying to me, this conversation just seems like we're really trying to line up with the Fed narrative. And why now? So all of those things are looking a little weird to me. So I don't really know what to make of this. Um, I also think it's interesting that we are finding out that his family, they had an FBI detail with them. They moved around a lot, but now he's just with his family, and like they're back to normal life in a sense of like staying at their house, is what I think was insinuated. Interesting that, you know, they have a Fed detail. Uh, this case is just, everything about it is weird. None of it is like any other case uh we've seen. So it's just really interesting. I'll be interested to hear what you guys think about this, but this is really bizarre. Also, her saying that, you know, when they were talking about, did Lance Twiggs bring things to the police, and it was like, no, he didn't. It wasn't until he was asked for them or he was approached that he divulged this information. For me, I don't even know if that even matters, because I just think there's a lot of weirdness surrounding Lance Twiggs. I don't know if you guys remember Turkey Tom's video that he did, where it's supposedly like a friend of Lance Twiggs like gave pictures and like all these different things of like their apartment, and was like, oh, it was so weird, and you know, there were wires everywhere and growing mold in cups and like these like science experiments. And I remember seeing that video and being like, okay, that's bizarre, but then also being like, why would a friend take all these pictures of someone's house? Like, I've been in people's houses and like they're not the cleanest person, or their house is like a train wreck, and I'm not going to go and like just take photographs and like have them in my camera roll ready to go in case something happens, so I could just like be able to have someone put out like an hour video about like my doodles and my wires being everywhere and me growing mold in cups. To me, it was giving like, I don't know, made up information to give to somebody who had a platform to be like, oh yeah, like, look, this kid was a weirdo. And, you know, I just thought it was so weird. So I just like banked up all this like information in my camera roll and, you know, took notes of like, oh, well, this looks like it could be a part of this, and it could be towards like Freemasonry or whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever. Just like it's weird. It's weird. It doesn't make sense. Let me know in the comments if you guys think that it's weird. Do you guys go into your friends' houses and take photos of all their stuff just so you could turn around later and like maybe be like, oh yeah, well, I saw this coming because they were doodling like stars and pentagrams and, you know, whatever. I don't know. There's just a lot of things about this that are weird. And then now we have this coming out, which, you know, is good. It's good to have someone talking, but then you have to wonder why now. And again, it just seems like everything is fitting with a bow on the package. Like, yes, it's everything that, we were told by the feds. There's no questions here. I 100% believe this was him. It's so weird because they were both, super smart. There was so much talent. Like, why would it end up in this direction? Why would he do this? It's just all screaming weird to me. So, anywho, wanted to bring this to you guys. This was on X. Shout out to Brian Entin. He did a great job getting, at least someone to talk, because we've all been wanting to hear from one of, the family members of Tyler Robinson and Lance Twiggs, but just not sure how to feel about this because it just seems a little too cut and dry. I don't know. I at this point, I just don't know that we're going to ever trust anything that gets put out, to be honest with you, because of how long it's taken to produce any of this. And that's a huge problem for me alone. So, anywho, please like, comment, share this. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. I appreciate all of your support. I will be bringing you guys more throughout the next week, putting stuff together in the background, working on some exciting interviews. And so I just really look forward to what we're going to be putting out in the next week. I hope you guys have had a great Thursday, and I will see you guys all in the next one.